Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the UBC Extended Learning information session on AI, artificial intelligence in digital media. I would like to acknowledge that UBC's Vancouver campus and where I am joining today is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. I would also like to acknowledge that you are joining us today from many places near and far, and acknowledge that the traditional owners and caretakers of these lands. Let me begin by showing you the agenda for today. We will start with some housekeeping tips, followed by the introductions, and learn about various aspects of the program. We'll also hear from a past program participant about his experience. After the presentation, our panelists will also answer your questions during the Q&A session. For user experience, we've muted your mic and video. For security reasons, chat features turned off. We also recommend that you go to the view options located on the top right of your screen and choose side-by-side option. This will allow you to see the presentation and the speaker. You can also, at any time during the presentation change from speaker view or gallery view for your preference. We'll be managing the Q&A using slido.com. To ask questions, open a new tab on your browser or a second device and type in slido.com and enter event code UBCAI 2025. For anyone unable to join us today or has to leave the session early, we are recording the session and will post the recording on UBC Extended Learning's YouTube channel within a few days of the session. The recording link will also be emailed to all registered participants after the session. Moving on to introductions. My name is Emily Wu, Program Leader at UBC Extended Learning. I will be moderating today's session. And joining me today is my colleague, Ray Vasquez, Director of Academic Services at UBC Extended Learning. And Ray is involved in the development of many innovative certificate programs at UBC Extended Learning, including this particular certificate in AI and digital media. She oversees program design, market research, analysis, learning and curriculum design, learning technology, and among many others. I will let Ray say a few words about herself.
I just wanted to say I'm so happy to be here after it's been a few years with our wonderful subject matter experts and panelists that we have here today, and with Emily as well. We have successfully developed, I believe, AI courses that are reflective of what the needs are. And it's not just for technology, what the needs are ethically, as well as understanding that you don't have to be a technical person to learn about how artificial intelligence or Gen AI is going to impact your current role or your personal life and industry worldwide. So I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Ray. Next, I'd like to introduce our panelists, Ricardo Trujeque. Ricardo is a versatile entrepreneur and a passionate educator whose 20-year career intersects technology, communications, and education. He has co-founded several software that span digital media content distribution, marketing automation, language assessment, disaster resilience assessment, and currently immersive environments for training and education. I'll let Ricardo say a few words about himself if he would like.
Oh, hello, everybody. Very happy to be here. Just to keep it brief, I mean, as Emily mentioned, I've been around for a few years, and all the companies that I have actually co-founded in the past, we have actually used different modalities of artificial intelligence, and lately, obviously, mostly focused on generative AI. And so it's a pleasure to be here. I mean, we've been doing this for a couple of years now successfully, and I look forward to see you in the courses.
Thank you, Ricardo. Next, I would like to introduce Lawrence McDaniel. Daniel is a freelance full stack web developer and business analyst, as well as an angel investor, entrepreneur, and mentor. He has worked as a freelance technology consultant since 1999 and has advised dozens of startups, as well as international banks, hedge funds, and real estate investment funds. Lawrence.
Oh, thank you, Emily. And greetings, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. This is my favorite thing to do. And so I want that to be clear. I've been retired for 20 years. I've been collaborating with UBC for a little more than 4 years now, and I absolutely love these courses. I am the live session instructor for the courses that I author. It's my favorite thing to do. I really, a couple of days beforehand, I'm kind of thinking about what has happened in the last couple of days that bears on what we're going to talk about in the live session. So it kind of frames my week for me. And so there's nothing better than when I get announcements from Emily that a new course section is coming up. Quickly about me, my career was in the banking sector from the very early 1990s until 2005, and so professionally, when I had an honest paying job, it was in the alternative investment and private equity industries. And the last thing that I did back then was create a black box automated trading strategy that was modestly successful for its time period, enough that I didn't have to work anymore. So that's nice. And more recently, I've been very involved in education and open source since 2015. So for the last 10 years, I've been an active contributor to open source projects such as OpenEdX, online learning management system, and things of that nature. And that was how I came to be associated with UBC. So hope you sign up, and I cannot wait to meet you one-on-one in the live sessions.
Thank you, Lawrence. Next, I would like to introduce Kelly Shiohira. Kelly is director of the Global Science of Learning Education Network and a prominent strategist recognized for her work in the area of literacy, connecting education to the world of work, and the use of AI and technology in education. Kelly, I'll let you say a few words about yourself.
Thank you so much, Emily. I think, like Lawrence, this is one of my very favorite things to do, and I look forward to these courses every term when they come up. So my career has gone through education to international development and now to kind of network development, I suppose it would say. I'm the lead author on the UNESCO AI competency framework for students, which is really an overview of what we think every person, every employee, every job seeker, and every student should learn around artificial intelligence. So how we're starting to define and think about AI literacy, essentially globally, and the competencies that we will need in the changing work environment that's going to come upon us maybe more quickly than some of us are ready for. So I'm always excited to have a new group of students and people to talk about these topics with and to dive into the complex world of artificial intelligence development and deployment in our complex spaces. So thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today, Kelly, Lawrence, and Ricardo. We're looking forward to hearing more from you about your courses. We would like to learn more about you. For those of you that are joining us today, please open the Slido and let us know, type in the first question. What industry are you working in? If you could enter and share with us. We have folks from marketing and web design, insurance, software engineering, education. video post-production, healthcare, nonprofit, government, consulting, design. It's great. Next, please share a little bit about the title that you hold in your company, so our panelists can learn a little bit more about you. We have a lot of people in senior leadership in project management role, manager, director, assistant role, consultant role, director, programmer. So a great mix of different experience in the crowd here. Thank you. So I'll let you keep typing in those poll questions. I would like to invite Ray to share with us a few statistics that we collected about the impact of artificial intelligence today.
Thank you,
And Ray.
Emily. So I think when we first started offering our AI courses, we had to, there was very little stats about, is AI really going to impact us? But I can comfortably say right now in 2025 of August, AI or generative AI is touching multiple industries. So here in this slide, we have from McKinsey Global Survey, 78% of organizations have adopted AI in at least one business function in 2025. 92% of these companies are planning to invest more in generative AI over the next 3 years. And over 50% of employees are expected to upskill or reskill in the next 3 years due to this AI adoption. And I'm just going to pull some stats that are not on the slide that's more Canada focused. So I always do a little bit of research about what is the AI job and market trends in Canada for this year. And I like the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not a proponent or a cheerleader for new technologies. I like new technologies, but I also like to be realistic. So the good for Canada, strong government investment and market growth. Canada is heavily investing in AI infrastructure and development. Scale AI was announced with $98.6 million in investments for 23 new AI projects in July of this year. And there's growth in public-private partnerships, 2-to-1 ratio, which reach about $28.2 billion by 2028 of investment. There's an accelerating business adoption for Canadian businesses, doubling from 6.1% to 12.2%. I know that global AI leadership positions are growing. Canada is an AI powerhouse, hosting 10% of the world's AI researchers and the second highest concentration globally. Job market resilience and high skill roles. According to the PwC research, job numbers in AI exposed occupations across Canada increased by 108%. So there's high exposure. So there's different segmentation. So that's just a general look at it. But the high exposure industries are engineering, healthcare, technology, and then their skills premium and career opportunities for AI exposed jobs are changing 66% faster than other positions. So the stats that we see here, again, is more worldwide. So 252.3 billion in 2024 for corporate AI investment. And then workers with AI skills earn 56% more than those without in the same job. This is worldwide. And then 21% of organizations are using generative AI and have fundamentally redesigned at least some workflows. I have the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I don't want to focus on that in this presentation, but there are also bad and ugly impacts of AI. But I think overall, everyone should at least understand what AI is and what generative AI is because it will impact our personal lives and our careers at some point in time. And that's what's, I think, is important about our programs that we're offering. And I hand it back over to you, Emily.
Thanks, Enray. And I will actually hand it back to you, Enray, to speak about how we deliver this program. Thanks.
Thank you, taking it back. So we have a UBC certificate program that went through a rigorous Senate approval. So it's an actual UBC certificate for those who complete the certificate. It's a certificate of 150 total hours of learning. We have different learning pathways available for you. In the first column, learners are completing 2 micro-certificates of 4 courses. So each micro-certificate is about 55 hours of learning. The first one is Artificial Intelligence Cloud Solution Strategy. And why cloud solution strategy? Why that? Well, infrastructure and understanding what artificial intelligence sort of sits upon is actually an important thing. So the AI and Cloud Strategy Fundamentals course touches upon, and I'll let Ricardo and Lawrence speak more in detail, but it's more of the introduction to artificial intelligence and the strategic and sort of how does this impact your organization? And the course 2 is the technology implementation, and I'll let Lawrence speak to that. The second micro-certificate in the first column is AI-powered automation and personalization. These 2 micro-certificates go take a deeper dive into how AI, the personalization of AI, learning about your personality, what a person tends to do. AI is learning about how to make things more personal. And again, I'll let Ricardo speak to that. The second column, these are options. We have 2 pathways. Pathway number 1 is Kelly Shiohira's micro-certificate. It's an 8-week program. For me personally, I think that's a very important sort of introduction to how does AI impact us, and how as us as individuals understand the ethics, the governance, and how can we contribute to shaping this. New technology this technology is coming on board rather faster than how humans can actually sort of step back and say, wait a minute, is this what we want, or how can we contribute to this? So I'll let Kelly speak to that in more detail. And then we have pathway number 2, which is the last 2 courses in the micro-certificate for AI development of interactive experiences. And this is taking upon the digital media aspect and sort of honing in on what you've learned in the first 2 micro-certificates. And I hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Enray. So I'll speak about give a quick program overview. So all courses are 100% online. There's a weekly 1.5 hour live online sessions with an instructor. All the sessions are recorded, so you can refer back to them in case you miss one. Each course is 4 weeks in length, except AI and Society, which is 8 weeks in duration. The certificate consists of 5 to 6 courses, depending on the pathway you choose, and you can complete the entire certificate over 6 months to 2 years for a total of 150 hours. In terms of course components, every week, in addition to attending the live weekly sessions, you'll review videos, course content, course readings, complete a quiz or an assignment, contribute to a discussion board where you can connect with other students. There's also a capstone project at the end of each course to solidify and apply your learning. And learners can expect to spend a minimum of 5 to 8 hours per week. In terms of grading requirements, you will be assessed on successfully completing the weekly activities, such as the quizzes, discussions, as well as case study assignments and capstone. Assignments are marked based on the matrix using the scoring guide with the instructor comments, An instructor provides feedback in the live sessions as well as in writing for the final project. There is a passing grade of 70%. As you can see on this table, the first required course, AI and Cloud Strategy Fundamentals, taught by Ricardo, is offered 3 times a year, with the first course starting on September 9th. All the other courses are offered twice a year, 4 weeks each. AI and Society in the bottom here, course 7, is an 8-week course starting on October 14th. This is apart from AI and Society, Ethics and Impact course, which can be taken at any time. We recommend you take the courses in the order that they're numbered here. Now, I would like to invite Lawrence and Ricardo to speak about the courses that they teach. So Ricardo, I'll
Hello again. So I'm going to talk a little about AI and cloud strategy fundamentals. I'm going to try to keep it brief, so just in purpose, just to let a little more time for questions and answers later on if necessary. But basically, first thing first, when you hear about a course that says fundamentals, the first thing that you think, oh, this is theory. Oh, there's going to be a lot of reading and it's only concepts. And this course is far from that. Yes, we definitely go through the basic concepts and to try to understand what artificial intelligence is, what generative artificial intelligence is, and so on. So the idea is to build that knowledge so you can then understand what the technology is about, what the potential implementations are, and then you can also use the lingo. But however, as we go through that understanding of what artificial intelligence is and learn the concepts, there is a lot of hands-on that we do. Because basically you take the role of a product manager during the course, where you're going to learn how to identify where potential implementations are in your organization or any fictitious organization, how to approach them, how to think strategically about how to work with artificial intelligence, how to plan it, how to create a business plan around it, how to measure success, how to measure or understand failure at the same time. So by the end of the course, you actually come up, that's the capstone, you come up with a framework based on what we've been building throughout the 4 weeks. It's a framework that is basically a plan that you can then go and implement in any organization or your own business. And as reference, I mean, in the past, we have had from CEOs, COOs, managers, to dentists, to veterinarians, people that have their own small businesses, actually just to try to understand how can I actually use artificial intelligence for the benefit of what I do or what I want to do. So we have 4 live sessions, as Emily mentioned before. And during these live sessions are actually organized in 2 different ways. About 1/3 of the session is a little lecture where we go through the most important topics that we actually discussed that week. And after that is all hands-on about learning about different tools that are available. We don't go into development, I mean, the actual coding of AI, but we heavily go into actually working with no-code tools. So you can learn how to build your own GPTs, how to actually download own models. You can start training your own models and your information, and how you can actually use all these different tools to start actually really looking at eventually in next courses and how to personalize the experience, how to automate those experiences. So I'm just going to leave it very high level there and pass the microphone to Lawrence.
Thank you, Ricardo. So I teach the technology implementation course. So that's taking your ideas and moving them into production. And I was pleased when I saw the titles scrolling across the screen in the survey just a minute ago. What I saw were the types of people that the course is designed for. That is to say that the course content is designed around a person who is the principal responsible party for realizing a vision that's backed by machine learning or AI. So not the person who creates it, but the person who is the project manager, the stakeholder, the key person whose job is to make sure that an organization is getting the benefit, getting good value from the project. And so these are concepts that, you know, overwhelmingly are not technical in nature. So first thing I want to be crystal clear about is you will not need to do any programming as part of this course. Having said that, I teach all of this material from the perspective of a guy who does those kinds of things for a living. And that's how I'm going to show it to you. So imagine, by way of anecdote, that what we were talking about were automobiles rather than AI solutions. Then I'm a mechanic, and I'm going to help you understand how to choose a mechanic, how to hold the mechanic accountable for what's being done, and how to understand if you're getting good value, how to understand what are the good metrics for moving a project from the beginning to end so that it gets to production, it's maintainable, you don't have any bizarre, unforeseen regrets at the end of things. So that's a big picture. That's what we're setting out to do. I've been a practitioner of this material since 1994. That was the very first time that I was a technology professional responsible for something about the subject matter that we're going to talk about. Amazingly, not very much has changed about machine learning or artificial intelligence for the most part. So most of the material that we're going to talk about, I've been pretty hands-on with for the better part of a couple of decades or longer. The one thing that's new, the thing that kind of fits outside of that, is generative AI. And that really kind of threw itself onto the scene in October of 2022. And a side note, a key responsible party for that is a graduate of UBC. If you've ever heard about vibe coding, that's a UBC graduate, just completely coincidentally, but I think it's kind of cool. That part is newish, and everything that we're going to look at in this course with regards to generative AI, really T0 for that material is within the last 3 years, and it's rapidly changing. So I've mentioned, you know, in live sessions, I start thinking a couple of days ahead of time on the live sessions about what to talk about, because it's a rapidly changing field. On a day-to-day basis, there's new information that bears on what I think you probably should know about in the tiny little 90-minute window that we have each week to talk with each other. You're going to see via a few dozen laboratories, you're going to see implementations of each of the primary strategies for leveraging AI and machine learning that are in place today. And so that's important. You're also going to see those, these are you know, live laboratories of real things being created. You'll see them through multiple cloud providers. And so nothing that you're going to see is going to have any kind of a notion of a vendor lock-in. We'll see things through Amazon Web Services. We'll see them again through Microsoft Azure, for example, so that you're getting good exposure to multiple providers' perspectives on how to provide solutions. And you'll be seeing this through what I would think of as the vanguard of platform tool solutions. Amazon has SageMaker and Bedrock, and Azure has Machine Learning Studio, and we're going to be very hands-on with these kinds of tool sets. And again, you don't have to write any code, but this is how I'm going to be teaching this course, is by showing you firsthand, you know, these are the tools that I work with. And when you finish this course and go out into the real world to realize your own project, it's highly likely that what you saw in this course are the kinds are largely the same tools that you're going to be using in your own project in the future.
Thank you, Lawrence.
All right. The next 4 courses are very much related to what we just discussed and what Lawrence also mentioned. The way that they were actually planned is that once you have a solid base and understanding of artificial intelligence from a strategic perspective or a technical perspective, is how can you actually start implementing it in your practice. And we start with the benefits of personalization. So basically, really, you understand here how to. We do this from two perspectives. You understand how to work and train artificial intelligence to work for you as the user, as the developer, as the designer. Because from here on, it's all about using it for generative AI. So how can you accommodate it just to make sure that it actually fulfills what you need? So instead of you adapting to artificial intelligence, it's AI adapting to your needs. And from there on, the other perspective is, okay, doing the analysis of what is your target audience, what is the main purpose of why you're going to be using artificial intelligence for. So then it's also training, if you're doing a marketing campaign, different strategies, and we do this very hands-on on how to actually, by using artificial intelligence, how to target, how to actually obtain the necessary information from your audience, how to do the analysis, how to use that data that you are collecting to actually perform another campaign. I mean, if we're talking about marketing. But important is to mention, again, just as Lawrence mentioned, I was also really happy to see all the list of the type of positions and jobs that you have, because these courses are all about that. And from my own background, I came out originally from film and media production. And then I moved more into the marketing, and then completely attracted by the technology. I just went really big on that during the past 20 years of my life. But we deal actually with all those different topics as we move through the courses. So we focus on different aspects. So if you're coming from visual effects, for example, you'll find how to actually use and identify how to use artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence in particular, for your own purposes. Because at the end, there's always going to be capstones in every project, and the idea is that you use the capstones as a base where you can actually start building something that you may actually execute on your side, in your own organization or for your own professional life. Now, once we actually finalize with personalization, then we move into, okay, now that we have these strategies for personalization, how do we automate them? So you work less and work smartly. So here we start also integrating a lot of different tools. Mostly you start identifying the processes, how to build a workflow. And from those workflows, then by using different no-code tools, then you learn how to integrate different tools that you may already be using through APIs. And so the idea is you're going to start building these connections between whatever platform you're using these days or particular tools. So you learn how to integrate it, and suddenly you have a full workflow that is working automatically for you for any strategy for your customers or for even internal implementation in your organization. So Emily, if we want to switch to the next slide, please. Thank you. So from there, now that we are going into personalization, automation, then we jump into interactive experiences. Basically, we focus really in technologies that will allow us to actually reach one additional level in how we use generative AI for developing better experiences for our clients or better experiences for our own personnel work. So remember, we approach from all these different perspectives and the experience that you actually bring it into. So this is about not only generating immersive experiences, but also reducing the amount of noise in the interaction with your customer. Like where are the new UI interfaces going forward, and how AI can actually help you enhance that experience. And then at the end, we close with if you already have a business or a practice, okay, what other elements you need to consider to implement artificial intelligence to keep your business or your practice moving forward? And how do you implement artificial intelligence for the managing of your organization, for improving internal processes, looking very particularly the ethical frameworks and performance evaluations, and looking at the future, identifying trends and opportunities. So we basically identify some of the most important elements in the general process of how we work with artificial intelligence. And that's why we actually went very specialized in the generation of these courses.
Thank you, Ricardo, and I will invite Kelly.
Thank you so much, Emily. So I lead the course AI in Society, Ethics and Impact. I have the very great privilege to be with everyone for 8 weeks, and I'm very grateful to UBC for allowing me the space to design the type of course that I would want to take. One of the advantages to being the director of the Global Science of Learning Education Network is that I have access to 950 of the world's leading experts on learning, technology, computer science, international development. And I was able in this course to tap into some of the big guns. So if you're able to take it, you'll be able to learn from some of the best in the world. The course itself is really aimed at 2 different types of people. So the first is technology developers who are looking to differentiate themselves in the world of tech. Because as we go forward, I think there will be more and more increasing demand for the types of technology providers who can really think about the context in which they are deploying the technology and creating the technology for. And so we look at artificial intelligence, we spend some time exploring tools, and we spend a lot of time unpacking the different potential impacts of those tools at the individual level, the social level, the international level, and particularly looking at the impacts on the human brain, your own personal learning and growth trajectories and your development, what the impacts will be socially and societally on the world of work and interpersonal relationships, and then looking also at environmental governance and those types of issues. And so the goal for me, for my students, is to leave this course with ideas and frameworks that come not only from the world of computer science, but also come from the realm of sociology, anthropology, ontology, like really thinking about what the nature of knowledge is, the nature of interactions, and how we interact in a society. So we really want to focus in on not saying artificial intelligence is bad and we should never use it, but what we call the proportional use of AI. So the really considered and measured application to make sure that the benefits outweigh the potential costs to anything that we deploy. So that's the first side. I think, tech developers will benefit from this course by better understanding their clients to begin with, and particularly understanding the world of governance within which they will have to work going forward. And the second kind of audience for this, as Emily mentioned when she introduced me, I'm an international development practitioner, very steeped in the world of education and learning design. So people who are interested in artificial intelligence from the ethical perspective, so becoming good citizens in the era of AI, this course is really designed for you. It's aligned to the UNESCO standards, and it covers things like, what does citizenship look like in the era of AI? What is ethics by design? What are these catchphrases and buzzwords that we keep hearing and kind of running into in our day-to-day life? And what are the applications of AI that we are using, should use? How are we adopting it? And what does that mean, frankly, for our own lives and our own interpersonal relationships and for our environment going forward? So the course itself is designed to be highly interactive. There's some lecture, but we try to build a cohort out of this course so that we have good discussions and good perspectives from a variety of different fields and backgrounds. So I really look forward to welcoming everyone, hopefully, to this course. I think it's an excellent introduction to artificial intelligence if you have no background in the space. And it's a great introduction to the worlds of sociology and research and monitoring and evaluation for people who are steeped in technology. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you, Kelly. and we'll have more opportunity to ask our panelists questions. But now I would like to invite Rob Adams to speak about his experience in the program. Rob is a product manager at WorkSafe BC. He leads a team of product owners helping to modernize systems at WorkSafe BC uses and improve the online experience for workers and employers. He recently completed the AI Cloud Solution Strategy Microcertificate. So thank you for joining us here today, Rob.
Oh, thanks for having me. I just wanted to share a bit about my experience when I did these courses. It did help me prepare for mostly for the conversations that were coming up with my stakeholders, with the developers, and a lot with the executive or other managers. There is a lot of misunderstandings about what AI can do and what can it be applied to, or what solution you want to use for what problem. So these courses really helped prepare me for those and kind of take that conversation up to the next level. I think Lawrence mentioned something about it's not so much for the people coming up with the vision, but for the people implementing the vision. But it also helps with those conversations with the people coming up with the vision. Yeah, one other thing I'll highlight from the courses that were quite helpful was that mix of hands-on experience with the theoretical, and when you were doing the homework, the biggest value was getting the feedback on the homework. That would lead to a lot of conversations. And as for the hands-on piece, there was a lot of flexibility for what you could do with that. I'm pretty sure if you went above and beyond what was asked in class, the instructors would encourage you and answer any questions, beyond the scope of what the original assignment was. There was a lot of great conversation and feedback on, what we're asked to do, or if we're experimenting with something in class. There was a lot of support around that. But you don't have to be a coder or have a degree in computer science to be able to finish the tasks. But if you do, and you want to ask those questions, they would get answered too. Overall, it was a very good experience that way, and I can feel the benefit this year. I took it last year, and the themes that have come up are coming up again. And I might need to take that ethics course because that's a big topic around here as well. And I haven't taken that one yet.
Thanks, Rob. That was so helpful to hear how you're already applying what you're learning. And we would love for you to come back and take more courses with us.
Absolutely.
And please stay. I'm sure there'll be some questions for you. We are gonna be moving straight to Q&A here. Please, I see that we've already received some questions. So I'm gonna invite our panelists to jump in and answer questions.
Emily,
So first,
I just want to interrupt. There's a couple questions in the actually Zoom Q&A.
okay.
Just to let you.
Yeah, so I would ask, sorry, I should have disabled the Q&A in Zoom, but for those who have typed in the Q&A in Zoom, please add those questions to Slido so we can manage it that way. But let's jump right in. First question, since there's no programming, how will the certificate help us be different from others, especially when applying or switching jobs? Feel free to jump in, any panelists.
Happy to answer that one. To differentiate, I want to make sure I'm answering this head on. The most important thing is that you get to production. That for the idea that you and your organization have conceptualized, that it actually becomes something that's real. Programming is a piece of it, but what you'll learn through these courses is that there's an awful lot of other things that are equally, if not more important. We've mentioned ethics more than a couple of times, and that leaks into areas of legality, for example. So from the perspective of managing a project, we're talking about risk management. There's a theoretical understanding of what these algorithms actually do. This is what you'll learn from Ricardo, and you don't need any programming whatsoever to wrap your head around what the theory is. If you don't understand the theory, then you're nowhere. And as a person who comes into direct contact with an awful lot of people who are on the outside looking in and want to be on the inside, very few of those people understand what they're talking about. So that, you know, fundamentally is Ricardo's course. And understanding ethics is not nearly as trivial as it would sound. And I'd ask you to take that to the bank through the fact that that course is 8 weeks, not 4 like the others are. And I think that's proportionally correct. You know, not to sound too repetitive, I already talked about how you can make yourself knowledgeable about how to build solutions without actually writing Python code. But don't forget that part either. I think all that collectively, if you've consumed these knowledge units and they've assimilated in your head, you will have differentiated yourself without a doubt. You'll stand out as a person who can get things done.
Thank you, Lawrence. I'll move to the next question, which is a little bit related. As a designer, I was going to take course 5 and 6, but after listening, do you recommend taking course 1 and 2, the foundational first? Maybe Ricardo, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it will depend how comfortable you feel with artificial intelligence. I mean, I haven't received, even from software engineers that have actually taken the courses, I haven't actually received a comment on that it wasn't valuable for them, because it really opens, it gives you the good strategic base to actually approach any project basically in any industry. And if you feel comfortable, however, with artificial intelligence, you've been working with it for a long time and you know the lingo and understand what the technologies are, I guess you could actually start directly in you mentioned 5 and 6, I think, or 4 and 5. But if not, if fairly new, or you have a level of understanding but still hesitating about how to implement artificial intelligence or generative AI into your work, I would say start with 1. Yes.
Thank you. There's a question for Kelly. Will your course cover influential tech philosophies like long-termism and effective altruism? Sorry, I'm not pronouncing this very well. I'm reading from my phone. What some critics have called it TESCREO bundle. Feel free to jump in, Kelly. Very specific.
I'm happy to do that. So we will discuss perhaps some of the underlying foundational arguments that inform those specific philosophies, but those aren't particular focuses of the course. So as I mentioned before, I'm the director of the Global Science of Learning Education Network. So I have views of what constitutes evidence, essentially, and thinking about evidence in the world that aren't completely aligned with long-termism and effective altruism. But that said, I think we do make space. Like I said, it is partially about cohort building. So if we found in the first week that people in the course are specifically interested in these viewpoints, we could bring in people to discuss them and some of these arguments. And what I really do focus on my course is not telling people what to think about AI or how to use AI, but really to think about the pros and cons and develop effective evidence-based, and again, by that I mean kind of scientific evidence, to back up your own positionality. So if your positionality is highly positivist and you're very pro AI and gung-ho on how AI can change the world, well, I want to help you unpack what that means. Like, what does changing the world mean? And if you work in ed tech, for example, one of the things we commonly find is that ed tech companies talk about personalization, but they're talking about personalization as a trajectory along a curriculum and not necessarily tapping into the potential of AI in terms of responding to individual learner needs in terms of memory formation, for example, or interleaving or spacing. And I think, so it's partially about these things. And on the flip side, if you are more of an AI ethicist and you're more cautious, we want to put in the frameworks for engagement that you would need to be politically active in that space, carry on informed conversations about how AI is impacting the world and justify your position in that way as well. So we explore things from all different angles. I tell everybody at the beginning, it's a little bit of a narrow bridge over a very large river, but we do our best to make sure everybody leaves able to have very informed decision making and conversations around the important topics around AI in society today. Okay, sorry, that was a lot, but
Thank you, Kelly. That was a difficult question. How much of the program is learning about the tools that are available in the AI space and the application of these versus the ethics of such tools?
I'll answer part
Go
A
ahead.
of that, and then I'll hand the mic over to either of my colleagues. But it's a huge part of the course that I teach. It's a principal takeaway is what do certain algorithms do, and how in the real world are these kinds of algorithms being put to work? And we see real examples, a lot of real examples of these as a teaching tool. You can, just FYI, if depending on how far you want to go into that question, you can Google my name at any time, and you will find, amongst a bunch of other stuff, you'll find the source code that we will be using in this course, and it'll be very easy for you to tie one thing to the next, I assure you. So that's that piece of it, but there's more if Ricardo or Kelly want to contribute.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. Yeah, definitely. I mean, on the other courses too, I mean, learning about the tools is critical. Because again, I don't like leaving things on a theory basis, like just defining, oh, this is what this artificial intelligence means. No, it's about understanding how to use and implement it. And for that, we need to actually go into the tools. Now, we don't go into deep tutorials like click here and then, no, we don't do that. But however, during the live sessions in particular, we'll be actually using 3-4 different tools on each session. And each session, sometimes it's going to be about business analysis. Sometimes it's going to be about creative. We use a lot of creative tools, visual tools and graphic tools, and different kind of tools as actually we go through them. But it's important to actually have this hands-on, because one of the things that I really like in every of these courses is the moment where I can see in the eye of the students the aha moment that, oh, I see, they start understanding the logic of okay, all this theory, all these name conventions, how does it really apply on how to approach the tools and how to use them to build something.
Thank you. I have several questions, folks asking about the Stronger BC grant. So these courses are eligible, but unfortunately all the spots, we've received very few spots available, funding, very little funding for this program. So all the funding have been exhausted. So it's not possible to use Stronger BC grant toward these courses. There's a question about alumni group to stay connected after completing the certificate. So for all extended learning courses, these are initiated by the students. So you're welcome to start alumni group and stay connected with your classmates. Is there support available for using the NLX framework on Apple Silicon machines to train open source models? Is that a question for Lawrence, maybe?
Yeah, hard no. But there's some rationale behind that. You, as a prospective student, that's an example of something you absolutely do not need in order to get the most out of these courses. You're not going to be responsible for attending this course with some minimum hardware requirement. We won't even talk about it. Everything that we will do in this course is presented via large platform providers such as Amazon Web Services. And when we do that, I'm very careful to remain within what they call the free usage tier. And so you also don't need to come into this project with a budget. So neither of those will happen.
Thank you. Can you start with a micro certificate and roll that into a full certificate if you wish to complete the full of the courses? Absolutely. You do not have to register for all the 7 courses from the get-go. You can start with 1 course, 2 courses that make up a micro certificate. And if you like what you're learning and you want more, you can register for. With the use of no-code softwares, is programming no longer a needed skill?
Absolutely, I disagree with that comment.
Yeah, that's correct. No, definitely no. I mean, there's always going to be, and probably more important than ever, the need for programmers. But it does actually provide us, for those that are not familiar with writing code, the possibility to start actually developing some concepts and ideas, mostly for prototyping phases that used to be very expensive in the past. Now we look at different tools on how to use Claude, how to use Firebase, Lovable, very different platforms on how to work with AI to actually build very simple applications that you can use actually for your work. But if you really then think about organizational implementation, you really need to take in consideration security and many other elements that then you need the experts so they can escalate it and make it stable enough to be actually used in a commercial implementation. But no, definitely there's going to be the need for programming.
A quick prologue to all that. Thank you, Ricardo. Innovation has always been disruptive, and by disruptive, it means it's always displaced the status quo, right? You know, the cars replaced buggies and so on. The thing that's kind of unique about what's happening right this second is that we're in what I'd call like a preacher-teacher moment where what's being displaced is the original vanguard of technologists. So for really all of my career as a computer scientist, I've enjoyed this utopian kind of environment as an employee or a contractor. You're treated really, really well as a programmer. And that's the thing that's being disrupted right this second. So it doesn't dispel the need for computer scientists, but there's tons of fat inside of the world of computer science that was ripe for disruption, you know. And so I'm talking about things like, you know, how do you QC software? A lot of those jobs are gone permanently because they were done inefficiently, and they'd always been done inefficiently. And so you look at companies like Google and Meta and Airbnb, and you know, they've laid off 20 or 30% of their staff. It's not going to go to zero. That was 20 or 30% that always annoyed me, you know, as a computer scientist.
Thank you, Lawrence. Yeah,
they were jobs that shouldn't have existed.
I'm mindful that we're at 1 o'clock, so we don't. I was just going to answer one last question if there's about the live session. So they fall usually 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, and the time falls on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So that's listed on our website. Similarly, the fee as well is also listed on our website. There are other questions. Unfortunately, we don't have time for today, but I'll just invite our panelists if you have maybe 1 or 2 sentences that you would like to share with the group before we end the session. Yeah, so please go ahead. Kelly, Ricardo, and Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm just going to address just that question about agentic AI component to the course very quickly. Yes, in automation in particular, we actually go from workflows to automations to very early stage agentic AI, but not in development. You integrate different tools to actually give a little more intelligence to the AI that you're going to be working with. So there's an initial component towards that.
I want to add, because I want to make sure that one of our guests here has asked a question I wanted to be answered here. She's already registered for course 3, and should she take foundations? It's starting in September.
What is course 3?
Yeah, it's personalization. This will be similar to my the response that I gave before about depending, from my view at least, it depending how comfortable she is on working with artificial intelligence. So if she understands the basic concepts, the basic technologies, and how to approach strategically the implementation of AI projects. If that's the case, yeah, I'm more than welcome to start in course 3. If not, I will suggest starting at least in fundamentals, because it really opens your perspective about how to work with AI.
And Kelly, Lawrence, last words?
Yes, one sentence. Ditto my course with regards to agentic AI. One of your homework assignments is to use LLMs to create a decisioning metric, which is a building block for workflows.
Yeah, I think just my last point would be, I think whichever courses or tracks you choose, you will get plenty of practice with AI tools and at least the building blocks to start thinking about moving forward in that direction. I saw a lot of questions about, will this help me get a new job? And I think the answer to that question depends on what job you're seeking, actually, and where you're coming from and what you're moving to. But I will say that if you're anywhere in the education, social sciences, anthropology, decision-making, business leadership, the things that you'll pick up through whichever track you choose will help you. And I do think that every person should be prepared in their next interview to answer questions about how they can use artificial intelligence, what they can do with it, and what their stance is essentially on its use from different perspectives. So I would encourage everyone to really think about whether you could join us. You'll enjoy it and it will be beneficial to you. That's my final word. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have the last poll questions open, so feel free to answer if you're able. We will be sending the recording to all the participants, and you can contact us at info.excel@ubc.ca for questions that we didn't have enough time for today. We'll be able to answer them via email. So thank you again for joining us today.